starts with essentials. Guidance to greatness. Balance from within. Persistence through challenge. And a touch of wisdom.
Tamira.
One enemy remaining.
Eles estão virando, mano.
He's behind the wall. Spike no chão, B.
When you grow, you ascend.
Hello everybody and welcome to EVE Ascension, a woman-centric tournament brought to you by Team Liquid as part of their wider initiative to bring diversity, equity, and inclusion into gaming. EVE Ascension is an entirely woman-led event in partnership with Gallerants. Everything you see here, the graphics, the socials, and the production of this event was created by women for women. And before we touch base a little bit more, I'm Gompers and I'm here with my co-caster Spicy. Yup, your favorite duo is back. And she will basically be giving you a rundown on the overview of the tournament and the prizes we will be seeing today.
Hey Gompers, well thanks for the little introduction. I mean, we're more than familiar with each other now, but yeah, just to get right into things, as far as the formatting goes, for today, it is a single elimination bracket with 32 team cap. There is no rank restriction for today, and the seeding was done at random. It will be a best of one until semifinals, and then the final and the bronze match is going to be a best of three series. And last but not least, the winning amateur team will be participating in a round-robin show match along 3 org teams tomorrow. The 3 org teams, I believe, being Shopify Rebellion, Gen G, and if I am not incorrect, I'm just CLG Red. Okay, I thought it was CLG Red, but I wanted to make sure that I did say the right team. But yes, so essentially for tomorrow, each team will be representing a female-focused nonprofit of their choice. And with every single win, Team Liquid will be donating $200 to their charity, and each series will be a best of one for tomorrow. So today, the teams are dueling it out, not just for the awesome prizes that we'll take you guys through shortly, but for a spot tomorrow as well to represent their charity of choice. But yeah, how are you doing, Gompers?
I'm doing really good. It's gonna be a long event, but I'm actually, normally I'd be kind of like, dang, a long event. Like this is gonna be, you know, pretty fun, but also pretty tiring, but I'm pretty excited, you know, like you're just seeing all these teams. There's teams I probably haven't even really seen before. And I feel like a lot of these teams are also gonna be very prominent in the game changer scene. So it's really interesting to see firsthand before it happens, you know, what these teams are going to be like and how it's all going to play out.
Absolutely. And speaking of how it's going to play out, what are these teams competing for? I mean, I already mentioned tomorrow's charity show match and how one of the top team here will be making it over to be the 4th team within the show match. But as far as the actual prize bracket for today, first place all members of the team will earn an Alienware headset and mouse, as well as Team Liquid jersey, and that invitation to the show match that I previously mentioned. Second place secures, you can have a choice between the headset or the mouse, and then you also get the Team Liquid jersey, and third place gets a nice little Team Liquid jersey for each of its members. So that is what these teams are competing out. Just as a reminder, this is an amateur tournament, so all of these teams are essentially pug teams or free agent teams that have been together for a while for the most part. But yeah.
It's pretty exciting. But, I mean, as said, we are going to be seeing Man I Love FWOGS versus NMG CELESTE. And NMG has been around, but under different names. Like NMG White, NMG Black. I think there was an NMG Black. There were a lot of NMGs before, but NMG CELESTE is here to stay. I'm 99% sure of it, and we have a pretty built roster, which is, you know, pretty exciting against Man I Love FWOGS, a team that has been here for a while now. They took a small break, but they came back even stronger, and we're gonna see, you know, how are they gonna place here? Will they be able to take it home? And now that Polaris has actually disbanded, rest in peace, praying right now as we speak. But, you know, now that they're out of the bracket, they were actually the #1 team that was unsigned. And they actually beat Man I Love FWOGS and Dart Monkeys that we see in here today. So I'm interested to see who will take that #1 spot in replacement.
Absolutely. I definitely think it's going to be a heated matchup. Honestly, as far as predictions go, Gompers, my money's on Dart Monkeys. For this particular event, I'm going to be honest with you. It's not just the fact that Dart Monkeys was able to go to grand finals against Polaris, but Dart Monkeys, they're also one of the main free agent non-men teams, game changers teams, if you will, that are competing within, you know, community tournaments and events throughout that aren't just geared towards women and NB players. So they're branching out into other aspects of the scene as well. And for that reason, I think that's why they might have a bit of an edge up going into today. But just, I mean, we did take a peek at Agent Select really quickly. We did not see what NMG CELESTE will be selecting, as they decided to troll hover the Yoru and Neon there. But on the side of Man I Love FWOGS, we are going to see the Brimstone pick coming out, as well as a Killjoy, KO, Sova, and Jet. Big fan of the double initiator composition on a map like Haven, considering the fact that having all of that information is incredibly important. Especially, I think the KO as well, especially, you know, on a map like Haven, you are usually seeing teams run a default, trying to get info, try to use utility to get info as well, and KO can deny not just space, but utility usage, and
Select
on
your
Haven,
agent.
I think that's incredibly important.
I mean, 100%. Especially, I mean, the summary of it, we talk about this a lot every single time, but it's also such a big adjustment without the Astra being there. So, I mean, having the Omen there and Brimstone, we're going to see maybe who's better in comparison, because I feel like there is a debate here, whether or not Omen or Brim is actually fit for this map in particular. And honestly, my assumption might go towards Omen, just simply because of the fact that it's such a wider map. You can't necessarily reach some of the certain areas you might want to be reaching in advanced time. So Omen might be a little bit better in that sense, but the util for Brimstone is definitely, on a larger scale, much more important.
I think it's a little bit of a toss-up depending on what the composition is going forward for each of the teams. You know, I mean, like you said, Omen has a bit of a wider reach, but at the same time, Brimstone now, you know, has that stim beacon buff that went out, and we're able to use that, you know, for quicker rotations, for more aggressive pushes, and especially on Haven, where, you know, these teams are also running a default defense for the most part and are quite split up. Having that extra explosive power to get into, you know, a site, clear some space, make some space for themselves is absolutely massive. But yeah, I believe we are just running into a slight tech issue here for one of the players, looking to maybe fix something within their game sound settings. So a little bit of a pause for now, but yeah, I mean, looking to get into things right off the bat, we are going to see Also a double initiator pick coming out on the side of NMG, instead favoring the Sky instead of the KO though. But to be honest, I mean, Sky has fallen off the meta quite a bit. KO kind of starting to replace her as one of the top initiator picks. But I think going into this coming meta with all these controller changes as well, the initiators themselves, there's quite a bit of diversity, and I think it's pretty map dependent and team comp dependent. Gompers. I mean, the Sky is really nice on Haven because of the Seekers in particular, being able to use that information ultimate. But honestly, especially on the attack, I think KO is just a little bit more valuable, considering the fact that when you have the defenders so split up on Haven, because there are, you know, 3 different sites, 4 different points of contention, the KO does really well at shutting down the utility that would normally be able to be used by the defenders to kind of stagger the pushes and slow down the pushes onto site.
Yeah. I mean, it's also another thing, you know, I just feel like, you know, the composition is just so general and particular that it isn't really much that you can necessarily go into, especially, I mean, but one thing is, especially after Chamber came out, you know, as we're talking about the utility usage and with these agents in particular, there is a killjoy in replacement, and you did talk about this, the comfortability with the particular agent, I guess you could say. So Fad being that Chamber player, it's also another thing of how are you going to play your agent, and is it the way that it should initially be played? Because Chamber, having that teleport, you know, and being not necessarily too useful with their defensive util, other than being able to kind of recognize those lurks and where somebody's initially wanting to go through, especially with Jett being able to dash right through. You have to be more particular about being able to push forth and trying to gather those picks early on, because you can TP out and because you can get that early information, and then kind of use your util around that.
Here.
Absolutely, but it looks like we're ready to just about get into the swing of things. It's going to be a C split push from what it looks like coming out from Man I Love FWOGS, and Fad already pushed up there to see Cubby with a rendezvous to get out.
And already going in, you can see the aggressive push coming out from Man I Love FWOGS. And they're already in. They're going to be able to gather that. And right now, that site is 100% theirs. The retake has to come in through. There are only 2 players left. There are flashes being able to be used. Aries going to go in, though. Having the smoke finally being able to be readied up. They're not going to use it. But was that the smart idea? The no util, the blind peek. Still the flash being able to be used. The dog was there. They're not going to use it. Going to save it for the next round. And right there you have it. I mean, Man I Love FWOGS with a perfect initiation.
Yeah, I think that was tough considering the fact that, you know, Fad did go for that aggressive C Cubby push and unfortunately wasn't able to rendezvous out in time, and just going off of that initial pick, Man I Love FWOGS was easily able to take control of C site, make a lot of space for themselves and push on, and now they are going to be on that buy up, playing an anti-eco, if you will, and it looks like we're actually seeing on the side of NMG that mid is being left completely open, maybe going for a quick A flank to start things out.
Seems like now that they've kind of recognized there is 2 people C, possibly, they don't really know Fad is in the corner. They're going to figure it out just soon as this flash gets readied up by Mel, and there it is. That's the initiation onto the site. The initiator doing its perfect job at that. The spray down is through. It's going to be very difficult now for, you can see NMG Celeste being able to get onto the site. Airy, I mean, only really having a shorty at hand, so maybe playing this a little bit more together and coordinated is going to work, but Airy has to figure out a way to kind of weave and bob through the site to be able to at least pick off one. Going to be difficult. Now they see 2 with NCT. They're going to focus their attention there. And that's just May by themselves, knowing Zoe's coming through, and Zoe having the better hand and weapon. It's going to work out perfectly for Man I Love FWOGS.
Nothing too surprising there, Gompers, considering the fact that it was the buy-up round for Man I Love FWOGS. Unfortunately, not too good of an eco there for NMG Celeste. They weren't able to take too many guns out of the hands of Man I Love FWOGS in that previous round, but now it is going to be a buy-up. Rifles across the board here for NMG. And going now towards more of your kind of typical default play on Haven. Interesting to see C's being left open, instead NMG looking to maintain control of Garage and B site. And now another C split push as Dip quickly looks to clear out Garage.
I think it's also interesting, we haven't talked about this, that Shaka was actually on Polaris before. And they picked her up on Man I Love FWOGS, and you can see that the pickup is working out very well. Shaka already having those 2 assists, so definitely giving out that util needed and necessary to be able to initiate onto these sites. And I mean, the synergy is there. So even though Shaka was the newest addition, you can still see that skill set hasn't left, and it's working out fine. But Airy is going to be able to capture at least some information, knowing one is in Garage, but not necessarily knowing that the amount that there is going to be strong. Being able to get one Dinos, that pick was huge, especially leaving out Clutch. The Sky is gone. Now it's a 3v2. May having 18 health can still fight for the site, trying to at least retire, but all Man I Love FWOGS has to do is wait for this spike, try to play off of it, but it's not going to be enough. They have to get there fast enough, but being smoked off, it's not going to help.
Yeah, that's a huge 4K for May as well, and that's the first round on the board here for NMG. Still a really good bonus, to be honest, out of Man I Love FWOGS, able to get 3 guns out of the hands of NMG, doing a little bit more damage to their economy going into the 4th round of this half. And as a reminder to everyone at home, this is a best-of-1 series until we hit the final matches. And I mean, I think what would be interesting right now to see coming out from Man I Love FWOGS would be maybe some alt orb investment going into Mel J, trying to get that null command online as early as possible, but that's not what's going to happen as we start this round off. Instead, looking for mid control once again. And we see rotations already being called off here on the side of NMG from A site. Oh, the judge.
Oh no, they know. You can see Dip is just has a gut feeling. Oh, I'd be terrified. Oh, Zoe. No! Oh.
That was really good.
Trying to wide swing that, but I mean, in the end, they were able to get Airy. Unfortunate enough for the side of Man I Love FWOGS, they were picked off, but I mean, picking with the util, that was insane.
They knew that, you know, they had the seeking suspicion, you know, Man I Love FWOGS was able to know based on economy alone that it would be an eco weapon probably holding Garage here. And I mean, I really like the nano swarm that was actually put out to clear that corner force. The area off of the angle was really well done by Man I Love FWOGS, but now it's going to be a pinch coming in for the retake off of NMG.
Oh, the Fat having a really nice flank along here. It might actually work. Now, having this Vandal, all they have to do is play with this util, but unfortunate enough, it's just Fad. They can't really use much unless they place down these TPs. But, I mean, in the nick of time, Mel J is just going to flash through. Perfect timing on their part. And, I mean, you can see Man I Love FWOGS, why they have reigned supreme for so long. They just have such a really good initiation onto the site. Not only that, but their aggression and the pressure they put onto the other team, they're not afraid to get their hands dirty.
Absolutely. Now going into the 5th round of this half, we are going to see 2 ultimates online here for Man I Love FWOGS. That null command and the orbital strike are available. Zoe also just 1 away from that lockdown as well, and it's going to be an eco here for NMG. They are stacking towards C this time around, considering the fact that, you know, Man I Love FWOGS has done very well as far as, you know, kind of conditioning NMG to expect the C split hit through mid and through C long, but right off the bat, they, you know, had that read. They knew the conditioning worked, decided to hit A instead. Null command now coming out just to make sure that everyone is forced off of the A site just in case. And it's going to be a 5v5 on this post plant.
So the constant retakes that's happening, it might work, but there's not a lot of control right now. You can see Man I Love FWOGS positioning themselves to be able to watch at least different sections of the site. Aries getting ready to get a flash through so that they can at least try to get themselves onto the site for NMG. And as they go on, you can see one being picked off and the rest being left outside of the site. May can't necessarily get the plant down, try to get this defusal, but the Vandal is there as the time is ticking with the util, doing a spectacular job at keeping it together, and the defusal coming a little bit too late, especially with the molly. And it works out perfectly here for Man I Love FWOGS, my apologies, but wow, I mean, that was just an intense amount of util completely put onto one particular region, and it just really did an immense job at keeping that together.
That was a disgusting post plant. But I mean, if you look at the composition here for Man I Love FWOGS, they're built for the post plant. You have Killjoy with those nanoswarms. Meljay on that KO pick has a fragment available as well. Incendiary is another molly in Dinos's hands, and then Shaka. We know Shaka is huge on those post plant shock darts as well. You know, did fall a bit early in that post round, but the setup in general is massive. And here, speaking of massive, May already getting 2 picks on Man I Love FWOGS right off the bat, still aggressing through mid.
Oh, but they might get... Fate might be in the hands of NMG. Clutch able to get 2. That works out nice, especially now that it's just Dinos by themselves. It could have been a one-man trade, but having 2 is actually going to work out very nicely. Dinos can't use their ulti just yet, especially in the scenario. So they're going to have to be careful. Having the spike in their hand, they're going to have to aggress somewhere. Maybe play for the post plant.
I just want to point out, look at FAD's positioning right now. I mean, NMG, they have the information that it's not going to be a C-long push now. Looking to double up towards mid, make sure all their bases are covered. Every angle is being watched. They can't be really crept up on. So this is going to be a pretty nasty double swing that Dinos is walking into.
Oh, but the one is there, possibly the other. Oh no, the whiff from Airy, it might actually cost them the round, especially since the one teammate here that we're gonna see Fad isn't close enough, but NMG being able to clutch this up with Airy alone. It works out perfectly in this round. The next one, I mean, more of a fair buy on both sides here. We're gonna see, I mean, I'm just interested. It seems like NMG is getting very put together, and they're figuring out what they should be doing on the defense to counter this aggression.
Absolutely. I think what would be interesting actually is the possibility of Fad maybe tossing that Vandal over and trying to go for, you know, maybe triple aggression towards A long there to secure the Alt Orb. Obviously, it's not what we're going to be seeing into this coming round now looking at the new positioning, but Blade Storm popped right off the bat on the side of NMG. Or on the side of Man I Love FWOGS.
I can't use that. Oh. I'm liking this now. Now that they figured it out, May is able to get some aggression through, trying to stop back the pressure. The first 2 initial picks are huge, especially now that you can see NMG's not playing around. They want to go forth. They want to try to get their hands dirty as well as Man I Love FWOGS have been doing. But it seems like now it's the back off.
Yeah, I actually like the timing of the Seekers there coming out from Clutch. You know, the really key timing as far as pushing off that push towards the A short area, considering the fact that, you know, Clutch, they heard the burst to execute coming along and decided to throw out those Seekers, definitely slowing things down and then forcing a rotation off from Man I Love FWOGS. GG now going to be using that Owl drone to clear out more space, get some information. I don't think it's going to be quite enough to seek out Zoe, and now looking to creep back. We're hearing a rotation being called here from Zoe. And Dinos
30 seconds left.
Their way up short.
Silence.
Oh, and the patience paid off. The crosshold being held. They don't really pay or focus much attention till long. But it doesn't matter. They still were able to get the one. Now it's just 2 left. The repositioning is there, but Clutch, not knowing that there's one above, is still going to be able to clutch it through. And now 10 seconds left. Dinos getting sandwiched in as we talk. And there you go, Clutch just pushing through, trying to stop everything before Dinos can at least take their gun out of their hands. And I mean, a 3-4.
3-4, NMG looking to tie things up in the next round. I believe it is going to be it'll still be a bye round here, but as far as things go, it'll probably be the last bye that we'll be seeing out of Man I Love FWOGS for the next round or so. However, we do still have 2 pretty huge ultimates online for Man I Love FWOGS here. You know, the Brimstone Orbital Strike as well as Killjoy's Lockdown would be absolutely massive as far as setting some win conditions to try and secure this round to maintain that lead. Otherwise, we're looking at the possibility of NMG taking the lead for themselves, and that huge zero point coming out, pushing Fad off of the angle since the Tour de Force was online and now has been stalled out.
Does seem like a heavy mid push here. You can see now that GG has that information, they're gonna try to at least play a little bit heavier. Fad going on that rotation towards mid a little bit. actually helping out C. It's a very default-like push.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just slowing things down a little bit. I mean, FWOGS, they've definitely been big on early contact, early round, instead of pushing for a more slow default. But now we're seeing, you know, some stall coming out on the B site. FWOGS slowing down their pacing a little bit, looking to back off of this map control. Still maintaining grass control for now, but if you look at Aries' positioning there on C long, that's also a lot of information that she has. And Lockdown gonna come out to clear off the B site. Bad just waiting patiently for now.
Oh yeah, and Gigi's getting ready to maybe put a recon bolt through so that they can push down. The shock darts are there. It's not going to necessarily hit where it's needed, but this is dangerous, Ash. I'm going to be completely honest. They have the orbital strike here for FWOGS, and it's going to be very dangerous. As we saw last time, the utility for the post plant made it extremely hard for NMG to get anywhere close to the spike. And this is one of those moments where they have to start pushing through, and as they go, it's 2 down. Now as they continue, the util is there, but they have to try to at least bait something out before it's too late. They're pushing, they're trying to gather enough, and they know they're hungry for the rest. And now the util is used, it's just Dinos trying to regather, trying to stop anything from happening, but the defusal is there. They know it's enough time, but there it is, the lineup once again, and it works out perfectly. They can't do much, and it's just the explosion and another death coming down from NMG.
That was a huge clutch round there for Dinos. I mean, like I said, this team on Haven right now on the side of FWOGS is absolutely built for the post plant with all of that utility available in their arsenal. And I mean, that was proof as it is. And that was actually the round that FWOGS really needed to win to continue to maintain this lead. Otherwise, you know, having lost that round, being pushed onto an eco, we would have likely seen NMG being able to take the lead for now, but it's going to be FWOGS still ahead by 2 points. Shaka sending in an owl drone pretty early on just to clear these close corners of the B site, getting a little bit of information on the Sova on the enemy team, but otherwise not garnering too much for themselves, and Dip's already all up in garage.
I mean, the moment that FWOGS gets the site, it's either really push forth before they can get in their post-plant positions, or just kind of deny them the site. And it's very difficult because you can see the default working out perfectly. They know they're going to try to push for that aggression to try to take the players out. And it's another thing here. I mean, they're not going to be able to get these picks because all this util being used from Dip to try to at least reposition themselves in a way that will help. Now they're going to have to try to figure out what site they want to go forth here for FWOGS.
Like the adjustment that we actually saw coming up from NMG, playing this C heavy lean 2 on A, leaving B open, because B is the easiest site to kind of retake here for the defenders. But as I say, that recon's gonna go out.
Oh yeah, and they're getting ready. Oh no, but the blind, it works out perfectly. Just a little bit too late of a peek. Now it's a 3v3. The numbers are still even and equal, but they have to rush it through. Dinos still being alive is going to be a detriment, not to mention we do have, I mean, we have the shock darts. We have the lineups from Dinos. We have Shaka being alive, possibly being able to use those shock darts. So this is not a time to play around. They have to try to bait up this util.
Absolutely. And I was just about to mention Zoe's positioning here towards garage, getting 2 for herself, a 3K.
Oh, and it's not going to be a denial of the post plan. Instead, it is just going to be, I mean, the aim at Hattie is spectacular here for FWOGS. I keep trying to call them by their code name, which is like, you know, the name that they use everywhere else, but it's such like a mind confusion when I say FWOGS and I can't say their name.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I mean, Zoe is always primed with those lurks, such great positioning, and able to win out that round for FWOGS for that very reason. And now, FWOGS garnering a 3-point lead for themselves at 6-3, a C heavy lean, and it seems like, you know, FWOGS has the information. They have the read every single time. You know, when they've done the conditioning towards C and then going for that A split push, but now instead it's going to be a triple flank coming out here from NMG, considering they're on an eco.
Oh, but Zoe's aware here. they have their turret being able to watch Garage, waiting for something. They could tell this was a save round, so they had to push out somewhere. But now the only information GG has is going to be just that turret, not Zoe, swinging around the corner. And now that's just going to allow them to be able to take this site pretty flawlessly here for Man I Love FWOGS. And now once again, just the post plant. They're going to hold the sites this time. They're not going to waste that util, but you can see Dino's getting ready for their post plant positioning.
It'd be interesting to see if NMG actually goes for maybe some exit frags here, trying to diminish the econ of Man I Love FWOGS as much as possible, but now with his advantage, actually might be full on going for the retake.
Oh, and the flash through, GG, getting a face full of Mel. Now, Clutch alone, not having any flashes, 21 seconds left, but that's not enough time. Still the double hold here, and they're gonna watch the same angle at different positions, and it's gonna work out really nicely. I mean, that's another thing, it's just the timing. This is just, I mean, a really, really good game side from Man I Love FWOGS, which, I mean, the attack is just spectacular. I'm interested to see what they do with the defense here, and I'm hoping, I mean, NMG have kind of adjusted and figured out what they should do on the defense, so I'm just hoping they figure it out again.
Also, okay, hold on. Shaka, you know how much we admire you as a solo player. You are a goated solo player. I hope you're listening back to this later. Incredible. Shock darts, lineups, everything. Shaka, great. Why did you buy the Undercity melee skin? That is the only question that I have.
Shaka, we don't love you anymore. It's GG. Go next.
Enough about talking about skins though, Gompers. Because these teams have some skin in the game. They're trying to get a little bit of information here on this default. Zoe once again lurked up through mid. No contact quite yet. Fat actually just missing. Zoe here now playing backside of B, and another slow round here coming out for Man I Love FWOGS. We're gonna see Dip has actually been lit up by the recon bolt from that owl drone, and now everyone on Man I Love FWOGS kind of regathering towards the A site, getting ready for the split push, and Clutch actually kind of backing off here. A nice play considering the fact that they do have Seekers in hand to be thrown out. And now Lockdown is gonna seal the deal.
Oh, but the one Fad was able to get is going to make it difficult. No push that can happen now, especially with the jet being taken out. But GG, being able to get these two is going to be really nice. But Zoe, not knowing Zoe's there, the spike is there, but Zoe's a little bit too close for comfort. GG's gonna figure it out really, really quickly. And now, with the rotation coming out short, nobody's watching the spike. It's 13 seconds left. Zoe can't possibly do anything but except try to get the spike down. The blind comes through. Aerie is trying their best, but Zoe able to get the one. Now it's just May against the world, and the operator is going to prove worthy, but now we didn't know before that May had this operator. At least Man I Love FWOGS didn't know, so that's going to give out that information. We should be a little bit more careful here on the attack.
If anyone needs.
That's going to be a force up coming out from both sides here, considering it is the last round before the swap. Aries going to have a judge in hand once again to hold out that garage. Point of yeah, garage, double doors. I don't know what word I was gonna go for after that, but to catch on the ultimates that we have online for both of these teams right now, Seekers in the hand of Clutch still. GG will have that Hunter's Fury available as well, and massive post-plant potential with the Orbital Strike and the Hunter's Fury. Shaka actually throwing that out right off the bat.
Oh, but that was a lot of damage done. Even though the pick wasn't there, they could kind of play off of that. They don't necessarily know that they were able to... Well, they know that they were able to get one, especially with Zoe being able to get the flank through. So now it's only two. Two left for this retake. And, I mean, we've seen it before. The Seekers is there, so they can definitely gather information. But what information more do they need? Here it is. It's coming through. They're going to realize one is on the flank. And they try to pick that one off first. And now we see this Hunter's Fury trying to at least deny anything. Maybe try to get some damage through. But Zoe stalling for time. Going to be able to get the flank along. And now GG's attention has been spanned to some other area. And it's Zoe able to at least get this through. I mean, the half perfect, 8-4. NMG is up far enough to the point where they can retake this on the attack.
Absolutely, and like we already mentioned before, Zoe's lurk positioning is just so good with her timing, you know, pushing onto sites, getting those flanks off for Man I Love FWOGS. she's definitely an absolute queen when it comes to being, you know, that lurking sentinel or controller player, and you know, particularly seeing on the Killjoy and the lurk potential that we've already seen come to fruition from Zoe, and the impact that she's had already throughout this match has been massive. I'm curious to see if we're going to see maybe some lurking aggression coming out from Zoe on the defensive side. But as a reminder, Haven is also an attacker-sided map, so it's not too surprising that Man I Love FWOGS is going into this portion of the half with the advantage so far with the rounds.
They're going through. They tried their best to try to get something, but it's just the whiffs down. And NMG, though, they're able to get the one shot. They're still having the shock darts. It could do some damage, but just a little bit more far left and it would have hit. I mean, now May kind of has the upper hand here. The headshot's hitting, and now it's just another one. But Mel-J is going to get this one down, and the pistol round looking closer and closer as the picks go on. But the rotation here for C, there is still a lot of util. Now they're pushing their way onto site. They're trying their best. The blind goes through. And I mean, this round looks like it is going to go towards for NMG.
Oh, yeah, that was tough there. I mean, Zoe definitely had the ability to maybe wait and try and use utility instead of going for the peak, but now, like you said, NMG having that two-person advantage. Mel-J fragment in hand, looking to clear out the corner.
Oh, and they're trying to rush their way forth. They know they don't have a lot of time, but the two that was able to be picked off is huge, but it's not going to work long term. GG and Fab playing together, and that's teamwork. 8 to 5. The first round being won, they could bring the 6 to 8. So I can definitely see them getting closer to at least bringing us to a closer round.
That round was exactly what, you know, NMG needed, though. You know, to win the pistol round, being able to buy up going into the second round of the half, having that advantage allows the gap to be closed earlier on for NMG here, giving them a better chance at tying things up versus Man I Love FWOGS. Meanwhile, you know, it had it gone the other way, we would have been seeing quite a different story going out. And look at all of this aggression already coming up from Man I Love FWOGS. Gonna be sought out there by the alarm bot, the chamber alarm bot, but still gonna actually commit to that. Fad just waiting in window.
Plant the spike.
Oh yeah, look, I mean, they're pushing forth a little bit further. They know they have the gun advantage, and there you go. I mean, Fad with the 3K, they're just pushing. They know they don't need the site. They can just fight for it.
It's also huge that, you know, NMG was able to retain 4 guns going into that round. Unfortunately, did lose 1, but their bonus is even stronger considering all of those factors. Only going to see a sheriff being bought here for May. Nothing too surprising. Actually curious to see if May is actually going to maybe pull out an attacking operator going into round 4 of this half in the next round. But it's going to be rifles across the board here for Man I Love FWOGS. No ultimates online for either team quite yet. But it would actually be interesting to see maybe some alt orb investment going into Clutch, or even May trying to get that Blade Storm online as soon as possible, just adding to that economy cushion.
Scout destroy.
Oh, and that Scout being destroyed, that's gonna kind of give Zoe a lot here. They're not gonna know that Zoe's watching this with a really, really hawk eye. And I mean, a lot of the util B, I mean, it seems like they kind of figured out that they might have just gone B, and with this util kind of positioning, it's going to make it a little bit harder, but the garage take is still looking strong for NMG. The question is, are they going to be able to get it, especially with the lineup here? They lined up perfectly for Zoe. Now the spike is right there in Zoe's reach. Now GG has to try to pick it up. I mean, all they have to do is try to pick this up. There's 2 people watching through on garage. They're waiting for GG to inch a little closer, but the spike has been taken. They're not aware of that just yet.
Here.
Ooh, no, but I mean, oh, I was like waiting for a little bit more action to come out, but the incendiary is going to slow things down in garage there. But like you said, NMG looking extremely pinched now.
Well, they're trying their best, but it's not going to work here, especially with Man I Love FWOGS having you know, once again, the gun advantage, it's just difficult. You have the Spectres. They could have played a little bit closer, tried not to peek, you know, with only just the Spectres in hand. You know, trying to peek through that smoke might have just been the detriment for the team here for NMG. But this round, you know, I'm assuming I'm going to see something possibly a little bit more coordinated. It seems like maybe just going towards a C push here with the spike position right there.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair though, trying to bonus on an attacking half is a little bit more difficult than bonusing on the defense, because on defense you just have to hold angles. And meanwhile, you know, when you're on attack, you have to kind of pick your battles, make sure that you're choosing those shorter range angles for those duels, as opposed to going for the long range fights when you are up against rifles. But now rifles will be across the board here for NMG as well. We're on even playing ground here. Zoe does have the lockdown available for a retake situation, but otherwise just a slow default start.
Yikes. Oh, and that first pick is nice. That's going to eliminate any of that flank util. So if they want to go for a flank at any point in time, it actually might work a little bit more diligently here. But no flank coming along just yet. It's just Dinos once again with the garage one. And what I like about this garage hold here from Man I Love FWOGS is the fact that it's so tight. You know, you don't really need that util there. The only thing that's going to stop it is the smoke, though. A really good call here for NMG, and they're going to push off of just that. They have to be very careful. The util here is going to start rounding about, and it's just May on the site with Shaka holding the angle, and that's another one down, possibly another. It's not going to work. Clutch being able to win out this battle. And now, I mean, the flashes are there. Heal is there as well. They could possibly get this down. It is a 4v2. The lockdown is there. They have to fight for the lockdown to be taken through. But, I mean, that means they have to push through a gigantic swarm of Man I Love FWOGS.
Swarm grenade out.
That was a really nice retake there from Man I Love FWOGS, and I just realized that on the side of Man I Love FWOGS, it's 2 members of players that were picked up. You know, it's Zoe and Shaka, and I think that gives, you know, I initially said that Dart Monkeys might totally have this in the bag, but Man I Love FWOGS maybe going to be a dark night going into the rest of this tournament, considering the fact that they do have the pickup from 2 members of Polaris going into the rest of this best of 1 series until we hit grand finals today. And with that synergy coming out from Zoe and Shaka, might be enough for Man I Love FWOGS to really make a showing for themselves.
Spike down A.
Oh, and Dip with the operator shot. The first 2 picks down.
Deploying drone.
It's going to be very, very hard here for NMG.
And look at the positioning that we already see coming out from Zoe. I mean, pushed out grass, that's so much information there for Man I Love FWOGS going into the rest of this round. Spike in hand as well. The reads are going to be phenomenally easy. Look at this stack up. 2 long, 2 short. Zoe keeping an eye on that flank, listening for that rotation, cutting off any information.
Oh, they're backing off. Oh, they don't want to pick this fight, but it seems like May does. May's feeling it, but was that the good idea here? As you can see, the operator's there, and now the flank comes along. They have no idea. It works out really nicely for Zoe and everybody else on the side of Man I Love FWOGS. Now we're going to have to see how well will it work, especially, I mean, you can see NMG trying to work their way around different types of techniques and trying to figure out what works best. But, you know, how long is that going to take? Can they figure it out soon enough?
I think what's also tough is NMG has to win this next round. Gompers, it's as cut and dry as that. You know, if Man I Love FWOGS is able to secure the 12th round for themselves, taking Man I Love FWOGS to match point, that would mean NMG will be forced onto a save. They're not going to have the econ to really duel things out. We'll have to try and fight at match point at a thrifty at that. And that means that this really is the round that they will have to win. And MelJ already pushed out to this underneath window positioning. Fad, not sure if Fad's actually going to maybe check that angle, but MelJ now sneaking up to the window.
Oh, but now the smoke has dissipated. Dinos is going to test their luck with the peek through a window. I mean, the luck was there for a second, just getting taken out immediately right after. Now the util's unable to be used. That's going to be the initiation here for Man I Love FWOGS. And I mean, like you said, this is the round they need to win. Clutch still could clutch it up. But the problem is that suppression is not allowing Clutch to use the util here, so no flash can come forth. They're going to have to try peek. And you can see Mel utilizing that, just going to push forth.
Ooh, and that is match point here for Man I Love FWOGS. 12-6. 6 rounds that NMG will have to climb back to be able to tie things up and head over into overtime. And as a reminder, this is a best of 1 elimination bracket until we hit the finals matches. So that means that this could be the match or the round that NMG Celeste will be out of this tournament in, or they might be fighting to keep their skin in the game for a little bit longer here. And looks like Dip's gonna go for another aggro peek, this time outside of garage. Oh! No way.
That's what I wanted to see from NMG. I wanted them to just push out because now look, they're at a standstill. They can't go with what they wanted to, so they're gonna have to figure something else out.
That was also the Jet on the side of NMG as well, you know, having Mei eliminated that early on, there's so much less space that can be made.
Oh, come on. They're really
no
holding it
way.
down. But Gigi able to get one, and now it's just the util, the amounts of things that are happening. Zoe watching with the operator, the orbital strike, you have the Hunter's Fury, and everybody just completely dissipating in the air as if it were a Marvel movie. I mean, wow, that was an intense game from Man I Love FWOGS and NMG. I really do have to give it to them. You don't normally see that every day, but I mean, kudos to both teams. That was, a great game to start off with.
Yeah, that was definitely a really fun game to start off with. I think both teams did very well. Definitely, Man I Love FWOGS really showed up, especially with 2 new additions to their roster, Zoe and Shaka moving over from Polaris, who unfortunately had to disband, at least temporarily, while the members seek out different alternatives as far as opportunities go. But I mean, I think not only is Zoe at the top of the leaderboard, but Zoe was probably the most impactful player throughout the entirety of this match from both sides, because Zoe's lurks on the attack, as far as positioning goes, were absolutely massive to get those flanks off the timings, especially in the post-plant situations where, you know, she gets the timing right nearly every single time when the defenders are trying to go for that retake and the defuse, just being able to catch them off guard, while the rest of her team absolutely stacked with post-plant utility to delay that defuse for as long as possible. And then, I mean, on the defender side, Zoe did everything that we wanted to see, I think, from NMG while they were on the defense. You know, her team was able to lock down the other sites. She used her utility, the alarm bot, the turret, to keep information on B, garage, C, whatever it was, depending on the setup during that round. But otherwise, you know, when her team calls that they have the information on where most of NMG is, or where they suspect most of NMG to be, you see Zoe going for that map control. And it's not just Zoe. I mean, Mel J pushed out several times, Dip pushed out several times, but consistently being able to lock down a large portion of the map, gather that information, is absolutely massive on the side of Man I Love FWOGS. And that's the kind of map control that I really like to see, especially on the defender side on a map like Haven.
You know, I also think it's like great, the pickups that had happened. Having 2 players of a dominant team come onto your team that was also very dominant is like super team, right? And especially with the pickup of Zoe. Dinos and Zoe, amazing post-plant utility. I mean, chef's kiss. I really have to give it to them. You don't see that a lot, especially since majority of the time, I mean, it all depends on the, you know, team that you're playing against, but the fact that they were still applying pressure while also trying to keep Zoe and Dinos in their positioning to keep that util there, you know, in a very strong manner. It was like you couldn't even touch the spike at that point, and it stayed on throughout the whole entire thing. It was amazing.
Absolutely. I think it is high risk, high reward, though, to have that kind of post-plant composition, because that does also rely on having those players, you know, still alive in the late round to be able to use their util. But I mean, most of the time, Man I Love FWOGS was able to take rounds pretty flawlessly, maybe losing only a couple. But NMG, it was nice to see the micro adjustments that they made. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite good enough in the end. And to keep in mind, you do have a player like Zoe who's also been on TSM FTX, the female roster, and whatnot, has huge IGLing experience as well as lurk experience. So just being able to combine that along with the Man I Love FWOGS roster as well, it just helped magic happen today. So I'm excited to see how Man I Love FWOGS continues to progress throughout the rest of the tournament. But before we get to that, we do have to cut to a short break and get into round 2 of things right after that. We'll be right back.